You had a good week?
You going line dancing after this show, are you? You taking up another sport? Seems I've kicked you again in 4-player. Is that what's happening?
Right, this is actually my least loud shirt. This is just like a nice, quiet black shirt.
But it does look like you're going line dancing.
Yeah. Would you like to see me line dance?
No.
Let's watch Feed the Backs. When I say let's watch Feed the Backs, it'd be ridiculous if we were watching it, wouldn't it? Nothing would happen.
Exactly.
So you're sort of in a happy, sad mood, aren't you? So like you're happy because you kicked my butt in 4-player.
Mm-hmm. Not that hard to do.
Well, you haven't beaten me in 4-player like for 12 weeks, and then suddenly you've had a good run for a couple of days, and suddenly you're sort of strutting around like I'm the man.
Did I win or not?
Yeah, you did. I did particularly bad. But the thing that's made you less than happy...
upset would be the term.
Upset, apart from your looks, is the red card.
Yes.
To the Frenchman.
Yes.
What's in particular has made you unhappy?
The rule.
The rule.
And the discussion.
Yep.
Okay. And... for me, the total lack of consideration for the fans. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just take.
No. Well, let's have a look at it first. We'll have a look at the incident first, just to wind you up a little bit more.
Good.
He hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
Yeah, that's big trouble.
That is big trouble. You're right.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, I mentioned it before. That both players went up at the same time. This time, the chasing French player showed no regard or clear himself from the danger zone. It'll be yellow card minimum.
Yep.
So, Bowden Barrett concussed, missing the next test.
No intent. So let's get a couple of things really, really straight. I understand and totally agree with the safety of the players. We need to protect them.
Yep.
Okay, so that's just a given, right? But the whole thing is that it's about intent. Okay?
Yeah.
It's about intent. So I'm just going to take you through this. Yes, I'm just going to take you through this. So the first thing I want you to look at is Fall here is looking at the ball. Okay? You got that? I'm going to explain it for you slow, Ricardo. So the ball goes up in the air. Have a look at his vision now. What's he looking at? He's looking at the ball. The ball. Correct. You don't have to repeat. Okay. So watch this now. So now Bowden comes into it. Has he taken his eyes off the ball?
No, he's looking at the ball.
Thank you, Ricardo. And then we've got Bowden. Now this is two really important things to remember. Both of them are looking at the ball.
Yep.
And that takes a lot of courage. Okay?
But isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Well, no, you also scan down sometimes.
Right.
To get some sort of
you
direction.
Don't have that much courage.
Yeah, exactly, which was probably what you'd do. But anyway, this is the next interesting point. Now you see Anton Leonard-Brown. Right now, see those two guys there, Anton Leonard-Brown and Fall.
Yeah.
What are they both doing?
Looking at the ball.
Thank you, Ricardo. And what's Bowden doing?
He's probably looking at the ball too.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. So the reason why I keep saying that, looking at the ball. So right here, from no fault of his own, Anton Leonard-Brown, because he's looking at the ball as well, just puts Fall off his stride.
They collide slightly.
Yeah, but look at what happens to Fall's body position. So he's running straight. So look at Bowden's body position, coming forward and getting ready to jump.
Yeah.
What's Fall doing now?
Is he looking at the ball?
No. Next, move on.
Okay.
What's he doing? Is he getting ready to?
Well, he's getting ready to jump, and then he takes an extra step to find his balance.
No, he runs into Anton Leonard-Brown, which turns him just about 180. See his body position now? But the interesting thing here is, what's he doing?
Looking at the ball.
Thank you, Ricardo. And what is Bowden doing?
He's looking at the ball.
Correct. So the reason why I'm using red is because it's actually a yellow, right? So what happens here is he gets taken off a stride. Now, Bowden right now leaps in the air, but Benjamin can't because he's just been taken off his stride, okay? Right. But both of them keep their eyes on the ball. Now, the reason why Gardner had to give a red card was because of that.
Right.
Okay, and
keep playing it. Just keep playing it because we'll go to a close-up version.
Yeah, no, I haven't finished, Ricardo. Who's running this thing, right? Yeah?
Right.
Okay, so right here, if Benjamin jumps here, but he's been taken off stride, they both go in the air, probably clash hips, because Bowden's technique's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right? So he's turned on his side so he doesn't get injured. And that is the issue right there, okay? So the reason why it is, and I'll play it full now, the reason why it's a yellow and not a red is because there's no intent. He did not take his eyes off the ball. I don't even think he knew that Bowden was there. Okay, so here's the slow-mo. That's the problem. But even if we go back to that slow-mo, look at Benjamin fall.
Yeah.
He is actually one pace short and trying to, he's about to jump. See that bit there?
Yeah.
He's about to jump.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. So in the referee's defence.
No, see that? That's a good shot, Ricardo. See how he just see how he's turned?
Yeah.
But look at both of them looking at the ball.
So that's a reaction to being body checked slightly, and then he's straightening up, jumping.
Yeah, he's about to jump. See, look at his feet.
Yeah, but he's a step behind, isn't he?
Yeah. Now, the trouble is that this is what the judiciary would have done. They would have had a machine very similar to this, and they're going like that, exactly. And I've defended a few of these things.
Yeah, and you know, and the referee doesn't have as much time as the judiciary and the TMO.
The prejudice of emotion and pressure. Right, so he is under pressure from his bosses. Yeah. The sad thing is, if you listen to Agnes, only Agnes, he didn't want to give a red card because he knew in his gut that it was a yellow card, right? Yeah. But he had to, so and that's the problem. The thing is, intent, and the laws of the game not giving the referee the opportunity to make a decision.
So do you think that the referees are worried so much about what's coming up from up high in terms of directives that they're losing their gut feel for the game and going, you know what, this just, you know, by the letter of the law, it might feel like you might say it's red, but it just doesn't feel like a red.
Well, totally. I mean, if you listen to him talk, that's exactly what he says.
Right. Did you disagree with me?
No. Okay. I have to give a red.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But his gut's telling him that it should have been a yellow. Now, look, we don't want to see this in the game. But there's no intent in that at all. No intent. So then the worst thing is, for me, for Gardner, Angus, is that World Rugby threw him under the bus. So what's he going to think next time? You know, it just creates this precedent of error after error. But the thing that also upset me was, for the first 3 days after the game, no one spoke about the fans. You know, I met a young family outside, and I've said this before, they spent $575 or something. They saved up for 2 months to go to a test match. They were doing Mexican waves after 12 minutes because this happened.
Because it was 15 on 14.
Totally. Game over.
And what about Steve Hanson's suggestion about the whole, you know, in this situation, let's put someone on report?
Totally.
Totally. Yeah, you think it's a good idea?
Then extend the. So there's a couple of bits of footage in the English game where guys were just being dicks, right? Yeah, they should be red carded. I mean, the Moriarty one against Wales, you know, he should get a lot of time for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But also the little Argentinian halfback should also get some time because he had a cheap shot at him. So if you have a look at why Moriarty done it, and no excuse for it, right? So that's foul play. We don't need it in our game. Get it out of our game. This is not. This is just no intent. And so for me, that, you know, it's not clear. Every single game now has a yellow card.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I find it really difficult talking to someone wearing a sleeping bag, but I do agree with you. And just to cheer everyone up, let's have a look at some tries from the game. God, you're such a miserable sod.
Some very good moments last week, and here's Joe Mooney. The big loose head prop. Now Smith pops it up. Ben Smith. Oh, too easy. Away for Ioane. Ioane with his pace. Chased down, but he got it to Leonard Brown. Now they're lining up. Leonard Brown, he's got Geordie Barrett. Under the bar he goes. Slings it away. Crotty at first receiver. Now Mackenzie in space. Mackenzie still going. Drops the pass off. And terrific defence on Perinara. But somehow he controlled it. Here's Mackenzie again. Pops the pass up. Geordie Barrett gets 2.
That was a good try.
Yeah, I mean, there was some good football played. And unfortunately, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
So what did we think about the changes to the French from the first test and the second test? Made a difference?
Much better football team. Much better rugby team. You know, I think the interesting thing about the test match this week, you know, I said it before we started this series, the All Blacks have had a horrible lead-in. They've had main players injured, a lot of players coming back from injury. So, you know, it's been a horrible preparation. And the French have built in confidence. They played for 63 minutes, then got hammered after a yellow card. They had a red card last week, but they actually came out on top. That's a dangerous French team. Plus, they're growing, training together, getting used to each other. The problem with us is we're going to have put a new football team out there this week because of our injuries. You know, we probably we've lost our blind side. Lost our 10 world-class
and the French are likely bring Fofana back. He's a world-class player, isn't he?
Exactly. So I mean, it's all on for this weekend.
And so there's, you know, Sonny Bill's fit and if selected, you know, what sort of difference would someone like Sonny Bill make?
I think the challenge for the selectors, I'm just going to ignore your question. I think the challenge for the selectors is that do they make wholesale changes because they've won the series and put the game at risk, or do they try and, you know, hedge their bets a wee bit? So some guys will have to be playing. Frizzell, for example, will probably play. We know that the decision is between Marty McKenzie and Mo'unga. I think they'll put Marty McKenzie in there and bring Mo'unga off the bench.
Yep.
I think they'll put Sonny Bill in because one of the problems that we had on the weekend was advantage line. So we need to get over the advantage line because we're losing the rucks because we're going lateral. So we need to get over the advantage line so we can get our loose forwards forward to the rucks, right? There was too much done on the tackle line. Side. Or just going sideways to a ruck, you know. It's a bit easier when you go forward to a ruck. It's easier to clean out. Opposition have to go back to it. And that happened a lot. We just weren't getting over the advantage.
And that's obviously something that Sonnyville does particularly well.
And there's just a lack of cohesion, which they'll be disappointed
you mentioned
about.
Shannon Frizzell. I mean, he's someone that we don't know a lot about. You know, as a real sort of left field selection, really, for the squad. But what does he offer? Why would the selectors pick someone like him?
Or advantage line.
Yep.
Injuries, firstly. So, you know, they probably wouldn't want to have played him this early. They probably would have liked to have seen the other guys and then bring him off the bench for this week. That is not going to happen. So they have to back their selection. Good hard runner, good hard ball carrier, and strong ruck player. And that's what we need. We got beaten at the ruck, okay? Because the two French guys that came into it who just played in the finals are really good over the ball, really strong, really physical, and the All Blacks will be really hurting because we got out muscled.
And Frizzell looks to me like someone that if he tackles you, it will hurt. You know, he's an aggressive tackler, and similar to Jerome Kano.
Yeah, and that's what we need.
Yeah,
that's why he's been picked.
And you talked about McKenzie and Mo'unga, so obviously those two are going to be involved in a 1-2 play somewhere. Because Beauden Barrett's 1-2 punch, you know, don't you?
Yeah.
I'll show you out the back.
What is 1-2 punch?
I'll show you a little bit later when the cameras are off and you're not looking.
That's it.
So McKenzie, let's talk about his game.
No, what's a 1-2 punch? Can you explain it to me so I can answer the question?
Well, so McKenzie starting, and then as the defence comes in, gets a bit tired, Mo'unga comes in, cuts them up. You know, 1-2 punch.
That's a 1-2 punch, is it?
Yeah.
I'd prefer to say this. I think that there's a lot of consistency with our selection panel.
Yep.
And they picked McKenzie as the next first five, so they'll play him and bring Mo'unga onto the bench, which will take the pressure off him because it's going to be a huge test match. And then they'll bring him on when they feel that the game is steadied and that he can go on and enjoy his first test match with the team going forward in a dominant position.
The reality for McKenzie was that he probably got more time than he was expecting at this stage of his
and the forwards
career.
weren't going forward, which led to probably an uncharacteristic Aaron Smith not finding his targets. They're obviously working on some new stuff, so there was a bit of that as well, sort of having used to your targets, they're not there and missing the ball. So, I mean, it wasn't a good night, but, you know, like I said, the consistency of this selection panel is to have confidence in the players they've picked.
I've got no confidence.
Is that a 1-2 punch?
Yeah, that will be in a minute. I've got no confidence in you. I'd rather hear from Mackenzie.
It was interesting, you know, I didn't think I'd have to be jumping in there, clearing the ball, putting up a box kick, so yeah, it's maybe something I'll have to practice during the week and just in case it happens again, but once we're back to a full complement, it was good to get back into 10 and where I'm a bit more familiar with compared to 9. Like I always say, wherever I'm needed, mate, I'll have a run, but yeah, I guess at a 19, 15 a wing now, so I don't think you ever see me run around the midfield though. That'd be a bit of an embarrassment, but I guess, you know, they were, once they lost a man with a red card, they sort of lifted another level, and yeah, we did some good stuff at times, and then obviously a lot to work on for next week anyway, so awesome to wrap up the series though, so yeah, we'll take a positive out of that.
Just checking some of the comments. We've got a very wise man here, Kevin West, who's saying that
West and I played a lot of football together.
Or he's just saying that this week I win the fashion stakes because you're sort of merging into the chair and everyone just sees this funny little head poking up. Whereas
did Westy say that, or did you say that?
Well, that's paraphrasing, but pretty much that was his 1-2 punch, I would say. And then there's a note here from Jeff Valletta, just says that he thinks you're a bit of a dick. But apart from that,
now Jeff from New York.
Yeah, we've also
were you talking about Ricardo?
No, he said you're a bit of a dick. Let's talk about the rest of the world, because there was some massive rugby around the world. USA beating Scotland.
It was a competition, Ricardo.
What do you mean?
The other test matches were a competition.
Yeah.
You know what that means? You sit there riveted to the game till the end.
Right. Okay. But
not after 12 minutes.
Apart from that, moving on, the whole idea about the USA beating Scotland. I mean, Scotland is a huge year, you know, doing bloody well. And I mean, think it must have so much confidence for the game in the US.
Yeah, look, are Scotland having a good year?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, they're winning games.
Yeah. Look, they were horrible in the Six Nations in their first game. They got a real shock.
Yeah.
So they've been inconsistent.
Yeah.
Right. And this will be a wake-up call for them. I know what Gregor Townsend is trying to do. He's trying to build his squad, right? Which is exactly what Gatlin's done in Argentina. He's taken not his mainline guys, and he's just really happy because he knows that if you want to win a World Cup, you've got to have 30 top players, right?
Yeah.
And I think Gregor Townsend is probably trying to do a bit of that, but it's backfired because he couldn't beat America. But good for the game. Great for the game.
Oh, yeah.
Ricardo.
Because, I mean, one of the other games, you know, these two teams you've
Game's the winner.
That Italy versus Japan are having a series at the moment. So Japan won the first one, Italy won the second one.
Well, it's not really a series because there's only 2 games.
Well, a 2-game series.
No, it's never a series. It's got to go to a playoff game like the French game, which has been great, which is what I like because, you know, you got to win a series properly. So anyway, answer your question. I saw the first game. I do not like Ricardo today.
You're going to get a 3-4 punch in a minute.
He's really annoying.
A little kick in
and his shirt doesn't help. Yeah. But I was at that first game, and Japan were outstanding.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And I thought Italy were really poor. But that is the Italians. They've obviously had a rev all week, come back into it, and it was a close game, and they came away with the win, which was really, really important because they've lost something like 16 in a row. You know, they're 13th in the world. Japan are now 11. So it was an important win for them. You know, they've been tooled up in the Six Nations. They're not winning. They need to turn this around because, you know, the coach hasn't had a win.
And you saw a bit of the Welsh, you know, 2 tests against Argentina and Argentina. That's not a bad effort.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think, you know, Gats will be absolutely ecstatic because he took his young guys.
Yeah.
And that's a very good Argentinian side, right? Yeah. The coach was resigned after the losses. They should have beaten Wales. I mean, it's hard to win in Argentina. And so Gats will be stoked because he's trying to, you know, what he's trying to do is, like I said, if you go to the World Cup and you want any chance of winning, you're going to get 3 or 4 injuries. You're going to have guys with head knocks. You're going to, you know, so you need a big squad. So he'll be stoked. So
when we're going through a year like this year, a year out from the World Cup, how much do we think about the World Cup, and how much do we just think about winning the game that's in front of us?
Well, the All Blacks have to, because it's demanded of them from us.
Yeah.
But other nations have a bit more of a looser program. You know, I'm pretty sure he'll be disappointed, but not too worried about it. Greg Townsend, he would have found out some stuff that'll be good from whether guys are up to it or not on tour, under pressure. So, you know, I think a lot of the other nations, it depends where you are. For example, Aussie need to win because they're getting a bag.
I said we're going to talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
Someone's just asked us a question about Goodhue. If we're going to play Sonny Bill, would you give Goodhue a run at 13?
Look, I think I don't think Crotty and Anton Leder-Brown have done anything wrong.
No.
And look, I actually, for the first time in a long time, it's really interesting what this selection crew will do. So if you play Mackenzie, right, who's been in there, been part of it, you know, you can probably play Sonny.
Yep.
And you can I'd probably put Anton Leder-Brown out there. Just because you don't want to change the whole back line. So that's where the courage comes in. I mean, this is what the selection guys will be thinking about in camp.
Well, the obvious selection will be put Sonny Bill and Ryan Crotty together, which they've done before, and put some experience outside Mackenzie. But as you say, you know, maybe it's time to take a risk.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do Sonny Bill and Crotty, because I think what they'll do is put one of the elder statesmen in with some of the younger guys. So I think Goodhue's outstanding. I do think he's a 12 rather than a 13, just because I like his footwork at the line and I think he's really strong. But he's been playing 13 as well. So I mean, this week is the most intriguing from a selection point of view.
Right.
You were listening, were you?
What did you say? All I could see is this little head above this blue chair. So before we get into the other big games around the world, let's just remind ourselves of the tries.
And Ireland, they go. Cortona and down to Stunda. Hooper makes the tackle with Phipps. Advantage is being played again. And now it is Furlong! They won't stop him!
Good work there from Tom Curry, slowing possession down. And Tawarira bursts through the middle. Got one hand off in. Now Snyman out the back for Vermeulen. Lines up for Nipola and steps in. Dwayne Vermeulen!
Vermeulen is an amazing rugby player.
He's a beast.
And quite possibly, if you're picking the 5 best rugby players in the world at the moment, you'd put him in that 5.
Totally. I would totally do that. The thing that's surprising me the most about England is, I mean, I thought, and I really like Farrell as a player. I think he's world class, but he was on edge on the weekend, and he brought this nervousness to his captaincy that really created that, you know, that niggly friction.
But is that because you've lost 4, 5, 6 tests in a row? You're just feeling a bit on edge, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. You've actually got to settle, because they started well again. And then you saw that try there. I mean, the ball goes to ground. That whole defensive line should have come up and just shut that down. But guys were sort of, you know, a bit disjointed. So they just seem
there's a real
under pressure.
You know, 18 months ago, Eddie Jones was the greatest coach in the world.
17 games in a row.
Now he's incredibly under pressure, and I think he's handling it pretty well. I'll take my hat off to him. But how do you go into this third test? You know, if you're Eddie Jones, I mean, you know what it's like. You've coached the Blues. So, but, you know, how do you think he's going to approach this game? Because he's going to be on edge, and he's going to be lacking confidence, and he's got to make sure that doesn't come through to the team.
Oh, hey, it's a big job, right? And he knew that when he got into it. So he needs to turn it around. He needs to win. So he needs to take a good look at himself first, and then he needs to try and relax the football team, because they are all on edge. So, and there's rumours coming out of the place that his staff are leaving him, that there's distress and all that sort of stuff. So they need a really solid performance. So what would I do? I'd actually take them all out for dinner.
Right.
And sit back and just say, boys, just enjoy yourselves this weekend. The series is lost. All we need is a fantastic performance. So just do what you know how you can do.
one of the questions we just received, and I don't know if this is from Andy Dalton, the All Black captain, but his name's Andy Dalton, and he's just asking if you'd ever take up coaching again.
Don't know. Never say never. I think about it every day, but I'm also really happy doing what I'm doing at the moment. So
what do you do?
Nothing.
Yeah. And you're happy doing nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do?
Nothing with you. So let's talk about the other game on this weekend, Australia Ireland. So Ireland turned it round.
That is a great series,
isn't it?
That is a great series. Now the Australians are playing really well,
yeah.
which I enjoy. Yeah. Kurtley Beale playing out of his skin,
yeah.
You know, and Michael Checker's got his detractors because he does protect the team by saying some real random things. Like, you know, I really enjoyed him saying, you know, headphones are banned because Cindy Lauper won't win you a football game. But the players probably didn't know who Cindy Lauper was.
I tell you what,
because they listened to Stormzy and all that.
If anyone was listening to Cindy Lauper, they should have been dropped.
Exactly. That's probably why they're playing poorly.
He just revealed what he's listening
to. Lauper. Exactly. But look, he knows how to get the best out of the football team. They're playing with passion. I can see the influence of Mickey Byrne coming into the side. So some of their individual skills, their micro skills are really getting good.
Yeah.
But look, Ireland with Conor Murray and Sexton back in the side are a different football team. You know, Conor Murray and Sexton are actually outstanding leaders in this game. They've won a lot of stuff. They know how to win. They know how to win tight games. But it's going to be a fantastic last game.
And the Irish also improved out of sight in the breakdown area, you know, with Pocock and Hooper being so good in that area. And they've got Dan Levy, I think it is, from Leinster, who's a very, very strong seven. And Joe Schmidt's a smart coach. He would have looked at what went wrong in the first test and fixed it. So that's the challenge for a coach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the challenge for a coach, but I also think personnel, and he knew what he was doing in the first test. He wanted to expose some of his, some of the guys that are sitting on the bench. He wanted to expose them to what it's like to play against, the best in the world. And hold
on. A really angry Kathy Richardson is saying, for goodness sake, can you put some socks on, JK? Do you not own any socks?
I've got socks on.
Oh. What's the use of wearing socks?
Do not talk to me about. Do not start on fashion. Don't even start.
The general consensus on.
You're still wearing flared jeans. Can we beam down to your? No one. I mean, they could come back with your shirt. All you need is a pair of cowboy boots, and you'll be good.
Well, yeah. Now, someone, Craig Dwyer, would like you to give a shout out to the Hampstead Rugby Club. They're taking on Celtic this weekend, and they haven't won a Waters Cup game in 9 years. Do you do shout outs?
Yeah, I do shout outs, and I will give you the team talk. You've won a lot. You've lost 9 in a row. This is the 10th is your year. You're going to win. Believe.
Now,
what is the Hampstead Cup? Where is that?
That team talk didn't work particularly well at the Blues. Just keep changing the numbers. But listen, hey, you know, it might pay off now. You lost 17.
You want to know why I would never coach a game? There it is.
Yeah. Look, I think we should go now because I'd just like to show you that 1-2 punch, and I prefer not to do it on camera.
Oh, so you're going to lead by abusing me about the Blues? That's your 1-2 punch?
No, that's just
why?
That's just my introduction. I'm going to hit you later. Good night. See you next week at some time. One of us will be here.